of Tarzana, Woodland Hills, Canoga Park, Reseda, and Winnetka. We're at Oso Avenue and Hart Street in Winnetka, where the sidewalk used to look like this. Today, it looks like this. The repairs, courtesy of $1 million from the Office of Council District 3.
Make no mistake about it, we will use this money wisely. I have one of my best supervisors right there, Joe Gallegos, and if he doesn't do a good job, if he doesn't do a good job, we will transfer him to our yard in Siberia.
Oh, you don't want to go to Siberia.
City officials say the $1 million is made up of savings from Council District 3's office account. Also, redevelopment money reserved for the area. Combined with tree trimming and other street improvements, city officials hope to reduce liability claims from tripping, eliminate blight, and increase public safety in this area. In Winnetka, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
City officials have just unveiled a new traffic light at a dangerous intersection near downtown, the site of dozens of traffic accidents. As Yana Kay tells us, children from a nearby school are among those who will benefit most from this new signal.
3, 2, 1.
With the flip of a switch, Councilmember Ed Reyes officially gives the green light for a new traffic signal in the Westlake area near downtown LA at Bonnie Bray Street and Olympic Boulevard. Reyes petitioned the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for the new light after a deadly hit-and-run accident at this intersection that killed 11-month-old Judith Asensio in 2009.
When you drive through the areas of Westlake, Pico Union, understand you're driving through our neighborhoods. Understand you're putting our children's life at risk. We don't pay attention to the traffic signals.
Councilmember Reyes was joined by kids from the nearby Camino Nuevo Charter School, the Los Angeles Police and Transportation Departments to unveil the new traffic light. Officials say the intersection now boasts several features to improve public safety in this area.
People who are visually impaired can still use the signal safely, and they can feel the vibrating signal and the plate and to cross the street.
Senior transportation engineer at the Department of Transportation, Verej Genoen, also said the lines of the painted crosswalk are wider and therefore help make pedestrians much more visible to motorists. And instead of having cars stop at the crosswalk, they now have to stop 5 feet behind it.
So this is just not a light. It is literally a beacon of safety.
Police officials say that since 2000, there have been a total of 54 traffic accidents at this intersection. But they hope to reduce that number with the new light.
Thank you to the Ed Reyes office. We have something that the community needs.
A new traffic light that officials hope will save lives. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The hit-and-run driver was arrested and charged with drunken vehicular manslaughter. A new monument now greets visitors to Panorama City's LAPD Valley Traffic Division. It honors traffic cops who died while working to make LA more traffic safe. Anna Marcos takes us to the unveiling.
Even LA firefighters came to pay tribute as the LAPD's Valley Traffic Division in Panorama City unveiled the special memorial monument.
3, 2, 1. The unveiling is now. Beautiful. There it is. Wow. Oh, wow. There it is.
This end-of-watch monument honors the 7 Valley traffic officers who died in the last 40 years while keeping LA streets and motorists safe. Carachillo, Meserly, Schmidt, Evans, Dean, Marshall, and Verna. Many of the families were on hand to remember.
Actually, I wish my daughter would have got to know my father.
They were officers who often dealt with accidents like the one Captain Jeff Burt had his first day on the job. A teen driver had overturned his car, killing himself and 2 others.
It looked like the corner of Armageddon. But then I saw my cops. They brought calm to calamity, restoring order.
Anyone who walks into the LAPD's Valley Traffic Division will see this memorial 20 feet up in the air with the names of the fallen traffic officers on it. As you can see right now, there is scaffolding for people to see it, but soon it will be hanging midair.
This is really a celebration of the lives of all those who've risked ultimately and given that ultimate sacrifice.
Chief Charlie Beck remembered not only the fallen traffic cops, but all LAPD officers who have died on his watch.
Since I've been a Los Angeles police officer, which is just over 36 years, we've lost 53. And when we do a memorial every year, I remember every one of those.
They died on LA streets, but here on this wall, their memories now find a resting place forever. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The memorial, created by artist Tim Lambros, took 10 months to make. Chief Charlie Beck was given a small replica to hang in his office. Last year, a team of thieves who preyed on the elderly in the valley were caught and property recovered. The Los Angeles Police Department is now searching for the owners of the stolen property and need your help. Cindy San Luis has more.
Beginning in January of 2012, a series of distraction burglaries plagued elderly victims in the San Fernando Valley and the city of Glendora.
The typical scenario is the suspects would use a ruse, always target elderly victims, and either state they were from Department of Water and Power or were conducting some sort of construction or working on their neighbor's wall to get the person in the home into the backyard.
While we call them suspects, they truly are predators. They focused their crimes on not only the elderly, but the disabled.
Police say these individuals would carry a clipboard or measuring tape to look more official and spend 20 to 30 minutes with the victim in the backyard, while one or two other people would then enter and ransack the house.
In May of last year, a vigilant member of the community gave our West Valley area detectives the first break on the case by providing us with a partial license plate. This important tip led to arrests that were made in June of 2012.
As a result of those arrests, a lot of property, from jewelry to silverware, was recovered from the suspects.
We want to make sure that that property, which has both monetary and sentimental value, is returned to the victims of those crimes.
All three defendants accepted a deal in court. Ann Carter got 2 years in state prison. Matthew Ristic got 4.
Alex Davis was out on bail. He took a deal for 8 years and was supposed to turn himself in on January 22nd. That did not happen.
Police say the community can help protect their elderly neighbors from criminals like these.
Do what they can to educate them about this, to make sure that they ask for and demand identification when people come and represent that they're affiliated with government agencies or even with private contracting companies.
I'm Cindy San Luis for LA This Week.
If you think your property may be among those recovered, you can view photos of the items by going to lapdonline.org/valley_bureau. There you can do a search of keywords like the suspects' names, and that will take you to information on the case and a link of the photos of the recovered items. Turning the tables on the LADWP, how you can sell the utility power, and the Port of Los Angeles, the subject of a children's book. Also giving your input on the city's next budget plan. These stories and more in City Beat. The LA Department of Water and Power is allowing you to turn the tables on them. Instead of purchasing power from the LADWP, you can now sell solar power to the LADWP. The LADWP and the Board of Water and Power Commissioners have approved a program in which customers, solar companies, and other third parties would be allowed to develop solar or other eligible renewable energy projects within LADWP's service territory and to sell that power to LADWP at a set price for distribution on the city's power grid. For more information about the Solar FIT program, which stands for Feed-In Tariff, go to ladwp.com/fit. Over the next few weeks, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, or LAHSA, which oversaw the recent LA County homeless count, will begin compiling the raw data gathered by all the participating cities to create a plan that will help reduce the region's homeless population and provide a better safety net for those who remain on the streets. Several cities throughout the county participated in the count, including the Sunland Tujunga community in Councilman Richard Alarcon's district. LAHSA will be releasing an executive summary and full report of the 2013 Greater Los Angeles homeless count later this year, likely around June. If you didn't have a chance to attend the recent Community Budget Day at City Hall, you can still weigh in on the city's budget for fiscal year 2013-2014 by going online. The Los Angeles Budget Challenge was released on February 1st and distributed to all 95 neighborhood councils around the city. But Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa also wants your input. All you have to do is go to la.budgetchallenge.org by March 4th. The mayor has said this is a chance chance to help make the city work for you to create a spending plan that truly reflects the needs of our city. You're never too young to learn about the environment. The Port of Los Angeles is the focus of a new children's book titled A Cleaner Port, A Brighter Future, The Greening of the Port of Los Angeles. The book, written by Robin C. Friend and Judith Love Cohen, is the 6th in a series of environmental children's books. The authors explain how the Port of Los Angeles is using cleaner, greener ways to move cargo. In this week's list of things to do, a beginner's hike at Griffith Park, ushering in Chinese New Year, the Year of the Snake, and a discussion that delves into what can be learned from President Obama's 2012 re-election. If you missed the last Griffith Park hike led by Ranger Ernie Ibarra, there is another one coming up on Saturday, February 16th. This one is a 3-mile beginner hike to Trails Cafe. Meet at the Griffith Observatory parking lot next to the restrooms at 8 a.m. The observatory is located at 2800 East Observatory Avenue. Be sure to bring cash if you want to buy a snack. You'll find more details by going to facebook.com/Ranger Ernie. Bye-bye, Year of the Dragon. The Year of the Snake is moving in as the lunar calendar ushers in a new year. And on Saturday and Sunday, February 16th and 17th, LA's Chinatown will be throwing a big party complete with its annual Golden Dragon Parade, arts and crafts for kids, and much more. Saturday's festivities will run from noon to 8 p.m. and Sundays from noon to 5 p.m. It all takes place at the Central and West Plazas, located at 943 to 951 North Broadway in Chinatown. More info can be found by going to facebook.com/Los Angeles Chinatown. The California African American Museum's History Council is set to host its 3rd installment of Conversations at CAM's 3-part series entitled Beyond 2012, Be the Change. The discussion will take place Saturday, February 16th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Beyond 2012, Be the Change will detail lessons learned from the 2012 presidential election, the role of African American citizens, and strategies for the future as the historic re-election of President Obama is analyzed. The California African American Museum is located at 600 State Drive at Exposition Park. You can find out more by going to caamuseum.org. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. High school kids pit their robots against each other in a friendly test of wills and ingenuity. Gil Reyes reports from the Battle of the Bots.
Almost scored that bonus piece.
The goal for these student-made robots to scoop up as many bean bags as possible before placing those bags onto the trough. And it's all done by remote control.
It's very satisfying when you score a goal and you just feel happy that you participated.
They got the goal in there, now they got to keep it there.
No points awarded if bean bags fall. Those are the rules at the VEX Robotics Sack Attack Tournament.
This is the very first event, in fact, to be hosted at Pierce College, and I'm really glad that the Pierce Robotics Club had the opportunity to do it this year.
Middle and high school students built the robots from scratch. They were put to the test after weeks, sometimes months of tinkering.
It's a lot of fun, and you get to learn how to be creative and work with other people towards a common goal.
Parents also took part.
We participated in all the meetings. We did all the fundraising for their parts for the robot. We carpooled together, so the whole team and the parents worked together to support the kids.
It's very important for children to understand that their parents are there for them, regardless of whether they are successful or whether they are not successful. As long as they try, as long as they put forth their best effort, then they can all be winners.
They might even be future scientists, engineers, and inventors if that's their true passion. While getting down to the nuts and bolts, these students may have discovered something about themselves. What makes them tick? In Woodland Hills, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Congratulations go out to Reseda High School, which received the most awards. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Come on, let's go.
Just a minute, I gotta finish this.
Wait, you're gonna post those pictures of Mary?
Yep. She thinks she's so hot.
But her mom and dad will see them. Her grandmother, her little sister, everyone she knows. It's gonna kill her.
Who cares? Just a couple of pictures. It's no big deal.
No big deal? Don't. This has gotta stop.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Sergeants, please call the members, have them report to the council chamber so we can begin today's business. I do want to thank Mr. Muscatino, Mr. Englander, Mr. Corrett, Mr. Laban. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 12th. I want to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Council meeting. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We meet at 10 a.m. Members of the public are welcome. You can come just to see your government, your city government work, or if you want to make a comment, there are cards in the back that you can fill out, and you'll be afforded the opportunity to speak. With that said, Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Alarcon, Buscaino, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Carrasco, Corning, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zine, Wesson, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Labange moves, Reyes seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Okay, Englander moves, Correct seconds.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday and now would be the time for the flag salute.
Okay, if I could ask everyone to please rise. And we'll be led in our flag salute by Mr. Paul Koretz.
Please put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Madam Clerk, if we could now run through the agenda quickly.
Items 1 through 13 are items for which public hearings have been held. There's a request to continue item 6 1 week to February 19th.
Okay, Mr. Koretz wanted to continue item 12, and I forgot until when, Mr. Koretz?
I'd like to continue it for 30 days to have time to more adequately address some of the outsourcing questions and find an acceptable solution to it.
Okay, what date would that be?
March 15th.
Okay, March 15th. Okay, Mr. Reyes.
On number 9, if we can refer that back to committee, please.
Number 9, you want to send back to committee?
Yes.
Mr. Labange.
I'm speaking for Mr. Rosendahl. On Mr. Koretz's matter, he was very concerned and adamant because the services are not being able to be provided. And on the issue, is this on the bikeways, Mr. Koretz?
Yes.
Could it be make sure we're coordinated with Mr. Rosenthal's schedules first? Because he was very adamant about that. Could I ask that we coordinate with Mr. Rosendahl?
Or have you already spoken with him, Mr. Koretz?
I have not spoken with him.
Okay, then why don't we hold item 12? Is Mr. Rosendahl scheduled?
Let me check for you, Mr. President.
Okay, so what we'll do, we'll hold item 12, and then Mr. Koretz and Mr. Rosendahl will huddle them, see if we can't work it out.
Mr. President, he is on his way, so if we can lay it on the desk as you suggested. Thank you.
Okay, members, any other specials? Mr. Alarcon calls item 7 special. Mr. Parks?
3 specials. We get some questions on the waiver.
Okay, we'll hold 3 as well. Okay, let's prepare to Mr. Koretz.
Are we as far as item 24 on this batch?
No, we're only, I think we are up from 1 through 13 at this point. Okay, let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, what's our next group of items?
Items 14 through 28 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before us. Mr. Weezer?
21. Special.
Okay, Mr. Weezer is holding item 21. Mr. Labange?
15 back to committee. 15 back to committee.
Okay, Mr. Labange is requesting that item 15 be sent back to committee. Mr. Zine?
Sent back to committee.
Mr. Reyes?
Sent back to committee. Council President, if on number 9, if we could just keep that on the agenda, instead of sending back to committee, we can vote on it. That's for the 30 days anyway. Report back, so I'm fine with that.
All right. Mr. Zine? Mr. Zine?
We have a, okay, let me discuss this with Mr. Labange.
Thank you. Thank you. Cards, Madam Clerk. Oh, wait.
Mr. Garcetti?
Can we call 24 special and then 26 if we can continue that until the 24th of April?
Okay, on the continuance, without objection, Mr. Garcetti wants to call item 24. And was that also Mr. Koretz? Well, anyway, we'll hold 24. Mr. Parks?
You registered a no vote on 27.
Okay. Do we have cards?
Yes.
And they're on what items?
Cards on items 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 24, 27.
Okay. And Mr. Parks, was 27 the one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Why don't we vote on what's left, Madam Clerk?
Excuse me, Mr. President, for item 15, did you want to hold that on the desk while Mr. Zion and Mr. Labange discuss it?
Let's hold 15 as well while they kibitz over this. Okay, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. Labange.
We resolved the matter, just send 15 back to committee, and that's where we'll go. Thank you.
Okay, so we will send item 15 back to committee. Mr. Zion, did you? Okay, that brings us where, Madam Clerk?
On the supplemental agenda, item 29 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, that item is now before us. Any cards?
Yes, there's cards.
Okay, then we'll hold that as well. That brings us where?
To presentations or items called special.
Okay, I will ask Mr. Labange if you would come forward. I have a presentation.
This time we recognize the President of the City Council, Mr. Herb Wesson.
Oh, you. Thank you, Mr. President and members. It's an honor, a pleasure to have with me the ambassador from Ethiopia, Ambassador Reta, with us today. He's here because of a international exhibit that is taking place in this country. It is called Lucy's Legacy. Lucy was discovered in the Awash Valley of Ethiopia in 1974. It is believed that she walked this earth more than 3.2 million years ago. The international exhibit was organized by the Houston Museum of Natural Science along with the country of Ethiopia. Lucy is the oldest and most complete fossil that has been found of our human ancestors. And even though they have discovered only 40% of her remains, they can definitely begin to link evolution to her remains. This exhibit will be on display at the Bowers Museum in Santa Ana, California. It started February 8th, and it will go to May 21st when she will return to her home country. With that said, I would like to present the ambassador from Ethiopia, Ambassador Reta, and Ambassador, just a little token of recognition from the great city of Los Angeles to Lucy's Legacy, the hidden treasure of Ethiopia. a few words, Mr. Ambassador? Thank you. And you can see that the ambassador and I, we really hit it off. We get along because we can see eye to eye, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Herbia Watson Jr., President of the Los Angeles County, Los Angeles City Council, council members. I'd like to start by expressing my heartfelt thanks and appreciation, and indeed my government, to you and the City Council members for honoring us on the international exhibition of Lucy Legacy, the Hidden Treasure of Ethiopia. It is a momentous occasion in the Ethio-US relationship to welcome Lucy to Southern California, and I convey to you the warm and friendly greetings of the Ethiopian people brought to you by Lucy. We value the staging of such exhibition because of the effect that it is bound to have in raising awareness of the American people about the Ethiopian people and their history. Lucy Legacy gives visitors the opportunity to further their understanding and place in the human family. Lucy is the oldest and most complete adult fossil as a human ancestor that has been found in Africa to date. The discovery of Lucy reaffirms Ethiopian claim as a cradle of mankind and introduces viewers to the rich cultural heritage that has flourished in Ethiopia over the course of thousands of years and the vibrant country that Ethiopia is today. Ladies and gentlemen, the discovery of the world's most famous fossil, Lucy or Dinkinesh, inspired tourists from around the world to visit Ethiopia, where their ancestors originate. We all recall the trip originally fossiled remains of Lucy made 5 years ago as a goodwill ambassador of my country to the US in the exhibition Lucy Legacy, the Hidden Treasure of Ethiopia. The exhibition attracted thousands of people, and many of you, I believe, might have seen our highly venerated national treasurer. If not, you have the chance now to greet her at the Bowers Museum before she returned back to Ethiopia. Being the only country in Africa, Ethiopia never been colonized, was a source of inspiration and beacon, a hope and the freedom of many people in different parts of the world. It has many UNESCO designated world heritage. Ethiopia is a country to be visited. It is the land of storied past and promising future. Ethiopia today has begun opening of a new chapter in its proud history, and the world is increasingly coming to see that Ethiopia is both a nation steeped in history and tradition and a fast-growing economy in the continent. The city of Los Angeles and Addis Ababa has many similarities. Both have similar weather conditions and have big populations. They both serve as a major diplomatic hub. Addis Ababa is the capital city of Africa and the second most populous diplomatic city in the world. The city of Los Angeles also has the third largest consular corpus in the world. Hence, both cities could benefit from this by strengthening their people-to-people relationship in the form of trade, investment and tourism. I therefore would propose the tuning of the two cities in such a way each of us can play an important part in strengthening the bonds between our countries and people. Finally, I would like to thank you once again for the opportunity we have given us in honoring this exhibition. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, Mr. President. Thank you.
Hey, I'm running for city council.
Madam Clerk, could we take up 29? We have one card on that.
Yes, Mr. President. Item 29, call special for cards.
Mr. Sean Murphy.
Yes, good morning. Item 29 is a good item. I support it. That's it.
Thank you very much. No speakers on the queue. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Next item. Forthwith on that item, Mr. Parks. Thank you very much. We have one right here. This item here, Sean Murphy, item number 1 is not already passed. Thank you, Sean, for all your work, Sean. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 3, call special by Councilmember Parks.
Mr. Parks, item number 3.
I just wanted to get some clarity in the committee report. It shows there's no recommendation and whether a source of revenue has been determined.
So clarification from the CLA or the CAO, if we could, on this item, please. We'll hold that on the desk for right now, unless we have someone right now. Avak, if you can get somebody to answer this, we will. Let's hold this on the desk. Next item.
Item 7, call special by Councilmember Alarcon.
Mr. Alarcon, we do have some cards. Public hearings being held, so we're gonna.
We're circulating a motion. Can we hold that matter for a while? We're circulating a motion. Can we hold that matter for a while?
All right, but we're going to note that we have cards from Mark Siegel, Fred Gaines, Mark Sturwant, forgive me, Mark, and Christy Clark. It's been public hearing has been held, so we're going to hold this on the desk. So you're ready to go now, Richard. Hold it. Next item.
Item 14, call special for cards.
Mr. John Walsh and Mr. Dude. Mr. 14.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org for identification purposes only, chairman of the Anybody But Garcetti for Mayor Committee, and also the No on Prop A, Citizens United. This, incidentally, this concerns something that rarely happens here. Miss Camelia Eng, excuse me, capital E-N-G, has been removed. She's been withdrawn from nomination. This is very, very unusual. We're working on it. If there's a scandal here, you'll read about it at HollywoodHighlands.org or at a front page online. But we're here because Miss Eng was bounced by the mayor. Why? I very seldom ask questions, but when I do ask questions, I find the answers. HollywoodHighlands.org.
What is the item about? I didn't even read it.
Mr. Dude.
Well, we're talking about very archaic things like Lucy, city council, very archaic way of doing business. You steal housing from everybody. You steal everything from everybody. You run parking meters. Parking meters were not voted in by anybody except city council.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yes,
no
I'm
speakers
talking
on the
about
queue.
an archaic way of doing business.
He is not talking about this
I
item.
know. Thank you. It's no speakers on the queue. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Next item.
Item 17, call special for cards.
Sean Murphy.
Yeah, item 17 is another good item. Thank you.
Thank you for your advice, Mr. Murphy. No speakers on the queue. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
14 ayes. Next item.
Item 19, call special for card.
All right, 19. Mr. Walsh, Mr. Dude. And we do need the CLA to report on Mr. Park's request.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, 100,000 server requests per month for the last 17 months. Thanks to you out there. Nobody talks to you out there. This concerns something called Los Angeles Regional Interoperable Communication System, and if you've ever used the Wi-Fi here or they've just redesigned their website. It's impossible to find anything on there now, to locate or visit anything on there. It should be the Los Angeles Regional Inoperable Communication System. It's called LARIX. And it's just a receive and file motion from Zine, who we have decided to Progressives for Zine, although he's got to work to keep it up, and also our good friend Mr. Wesson, relative to the status of the LARIX project. Now, including grant funding. I'm saying right now, Prop A, vote yes. Don't vote yes, vote no.
Mr. Dude.
Can you give me back the minutes from the previous item? I don't know what I was talking about. Okay. This one, I don't know what I'm talking about either, so you can pretty much say that I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Dude. Mr. Murphy.
Yeah, another item I support. Thank you. It's a good item.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. All right, so let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Next item.
Item 20 calls special for cards.
Mr. Walsh. And Mr. Dude.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. This concerns, look, the city claims to have $221 million shortfall. So where are we prioritizing the money? Well, we're not prioritizing the money. We're thinking that the people, now that Villaraigosa is behind Prop A, will pay for any damn thing with a half-cent sales tax forever. Look at what this is. 20. This is not even doing anything except hiring somebody for a report on the feasibility, whether you can do it or not, of implementing, whether you're going to do it or not, bicycle stairs on outdoor city stairways. Please. And you know, I've gone, I don't ride a bicycle. I walk. But I've gone to these damn bicycle things. You know what they are? They're all white guys, underemployed, in their 20s and 30s. And I have a challenge. I will give anybody up here $50 for every black woman in her 40s or 50s you see riding a bicycle on one of these bike days. If you give me 1/2 cent for every white guy, I will make money out of this.
Hold your time, Mr. Walsh. Hold your time. Mr. City Attorney, what did you say?
I would suggest not holding his time because he's not talking about this item.
You're not talking about the item. Mr. Walsh, thank you. Mr. Dude.
Well, he was not completely right because I'm not white. I am not young. I'm old. I ride a bicycle. And I know that the city is totally inadequate when it comes to riding bicycles around the city. I almost get killed 5 times each time I ride my bike because the streets are not fixed. I find the biggest potholes over there where it's the darkest. And you know how I find the pothole? By running into it. So, we don't need stairs. We need better bicycle paths so people don't get killed out there all the time. Hello? You do not do business the right way. I keep telling you that.
Okay, that completes your comment. So let's, no speakers on the queue. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Madam Clerk, would you reconsider, open up for reconsider 17? I found 2 cards here. Okay, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
17 is in front of us. I do have 2 cards for 17. Mr. Walsh, pass. Thank you. Mr. Dude. Mr. Dude, do you want to talk on 17?
Communication to the city administrative, city attorney, first consideration relative to an amendment of ordinance number, the department personnel ordinance of the city officer provide for a car allowance for the executive director of his.
Okay, what I want you to do is go to the next line so you get your driver's license. You read it real well. Thank you very much.
No,
All right, make your comment. Here we go there.
You suspended my driver's license because of parking tickets. Hello?
Okay. Any more comment on this?
He should not get a car. Let him buy his own car.
Thank you very much. No speakers on the queue. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Next item.
Item 21 calls special by Councilmember Huizar.
Mr. Weezer, the 14th District.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, 2 weeks ago we voted to keep San Julian Park open, throwing a lifeline to the hundreds of Skid Row residents who use that park every day. And today, this item will consider one piece of the puzzle in providing a long-term solution to keeping the park open. This park is in limbo due to the dissolution of the CRA, yet another impact to the city of Los Angeles because of the dissolution of the CRA. And the city needs to take ownership of San Julian Park to allow us to operate and maintain it, which the state cannot do at this time. This is a situation that's similar to other council districts, including one in Mr. Reyes, one in Mr. Wesson's, one in Mr. Buscaino's. And we have identified parks that are in limbo because of the CRA, and the state will not maintain them, and we don't know what will happen to them. But the state is basically holding these parks hostage, saying that we have to pay fair market value after they've taken them away from the CRA, and that we have to now turn some public open space and pay fair market value for them. This is not fair. We need to make sure that we get a free transfer of such park sites back to the city. We want to work with our state legislators to make that possible, and this item helps move that ball forward to make that possible. Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership, Mr. Weezer. No speakers on the queue. We have a card, one card. On item 21, Mr. John Walsh, item 21. And Mr. Dude, different name, Dude House. Mr. Walsh first. Mr. Walsh first.
Listen. John Walsh at HollywoodHighlands.org. What we have here is a CRA issue. Now remember, as I've said before, I've been 40 years fighting the CRA, and I got to throw dirt in their face. That's what Irish people say. Who gets to throw dirt in whose face? They're dead, I'm alive. We had CRA drop dead, CRA Day, first anniversary last week, where the important part here is that the money that the CRA was using for the park was borrowed money, which created statewide multi-billion dollars worth of debt, which the state has to pay off. When it's paid off, then all that money starts going to the county and to police, fire, and other county services. So the CRA did nothing but borrow money and create a huge debt. As far as this is concerned, Jerry Brown is our hero. I'm sure you can make a deal with Jerry Brown to keep these parks open. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Dude.
Yes, the CRA is dead. Long may it stay dead. I don't think it should ever come back. All these crooks stealing from people. Anyway, parks are necessary so homeless people have a place to sleep. Do not send the cops to the parks to wake homeless people up. What you need to do is to go to policemen's houses and wake them up to the fact that they're not doing a good job for society. They're actually bothering people that are innocent. Thank you.
Okay, no speakers on the queue. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Next item.
Item 24, call sponsored by Councilmember Garcetti.
Mr. Garcetti, I've been informed that we have cards.
Okay.
Item 24, I have a card. No, I have two. Sean Murphy and Fred, I'm having a little difficulty. Is it Malty? Please come forward. Yes, Sean.
Item 24 is a good item. I support the item. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Fred Walty.
Okay, I was going to say that. All right.
That's close enough. I'm the executive director of the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, and it's now widely acknowledged that the best way of creating jobs in this country is to create new companies. In fact, new companies have accounted for the net new job growth in the last 30 years, all the net new job growth. So my job as a Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator is to build companies so that we can build a new economy here in Los Angeles. The most important thing that new companies need is access to capital. We don't have enough of it. Early stage companies have a very tough chance of getting investment capital into them, and it's critical to growing new companies here, and it would really help us in the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walty. Mr. Garcetti?
Thank you, Mr. Walty, for your great leadership and great work. Colleagues, we need to create good-paying jobs for Angelenos, and one surefire way to do that is to grow LA's share of the green economy. The Clean Tech Incubator's continued growth and success has been a big part of that mission. I think all of us have a lot to be proud of in seeing the work that they do. In order to create jobs, we need to make strategic investments here in Los Angeles that will grow our economy, which is why I'm providing a $100,000 investment to Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator to provide seed capital for clean tech startups. In technology in general, Los Angeles was just ranked the third best city in the world. Silicon Valley #1, Tel Aviv #2, and LA #3 for startups. And there is a just startup culture that I've never seen in my life here in Los Angeles. People who are flocking here, people who are from here, who are taking that risk of trying to start the next generation of companies here in Los Angeles. So I ask you today to support this strategic investment. Today there's somebody right now who's studying science in a high school. There's an engineer about to graduate from one of our great universities. There's somebody who's out of work with a new idea of becoming an entrepreneur. Each one of these is seeing the changing way in which we no longer have to choose between the economy and a green city, planet, and bringing those together right here in Los Angeles, which has always been close with the environment and a dynamic part of the economy, is the right way to go. So this will help us get those funds to help these startups get underway and to grow into some of the surefire companies of tomorrow with jobs for Angelenos. So thank you again, Fred, and to the entire team, and I ask for your support today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on this item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Alarcon, is my understanding that we can move on item 7? Okay, so now there are no cards on item 7. Why don't you just come forward? Okay. Now I have the cards. Christy Clark, Mark Siegel, Fred Gaines, Mark Sturdivant. Good morning.
Good morning. You ready? Good morning. My name is Christy Clark. I'm here representing the Sunland Tujunga Neighborhood Council, and I'm also a candidate for Los Angeles City Council District 7. And I've been, thank you so much, and I've been a resident of Tujunga since 1999. I'm here to support the motion to include the Tuna Canyon Detention Center site in the list of historical and cultural monuments. This space must be preserved, documented, and protected. It is important for the stories and the memories of the men who were detained here to be remembered and to be shared. Our future generations will learn and grow from this knowledge, and the families of those who traveled to these camps deserve no less than a monument to their pain. The historical prominence and preservation of this location is important to the residents of Tujunga and has been expressed through standing room only crowds at numerous neighborhood council meetings and at public hearings. The Verdugo Hills Golf Course site is also an important wildlife refuge and a corridor and filled with large oak trees. The open space is a necessary recreational outlet for the Sunland Tujunga neighborhood and the city of Los Angeles. Please thank you for your time and consideration in support of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Siegel. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Thank you very much. My time's only 32 seconds.
No, we'll reset. Patrice, please reset his clock. Go
Thank you,
right
Council
ahead.
President. Appreciate it. Council members, thank you for allowing me to be here to speak to you. My name is Mark Siegel. I'm from Sunland Tujunga. I'm the STNC president. I'm here to represent our stakeholders who have said very loudly and strongly that they wish for this motion to pass through. It's a simple vote. It's a simple vote. Just allow the process to happen. and let it move to the commission so that they can vet this property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Gaines, followed by Mr. Sturtevant.
Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much, Mr. President. Honorable members, good morning. My name is Fred Gaines with the law offices of Gaines and Stacy. We represent the property owner. First of all, you have a problem with your process. We are property owners, been in the process of moving forward with the development project on this site for many years. We get absolutely no notice whatsoever that this motion is coming forward. We've been to community meetings, we've been to meetings with council office, and no one picks up the phone and tells us we want to do this. And it's just frankly outrageous that you would be in that kind of situation where you can initiate this kind of process, and I have to, because I'm a weirdo that reads all the agendas, I see it on the plum agenda on the day before the meeting and run down there to raise the issue. More importantly, this motion in this case is a complete waste of time. We have already done an EIR on this project, which include a full analysis of all the historic issues, and included mitigations for those issues. So what you would do by passing this is you would send it to your planning department. They would assign a planner. They would come up with an application. No one is coming forward to do this application. They want your internal staff to do it. They would send it to commission. They would send it to Plum. They would send it back to council. And if at that time you decided that you wanted to designate it, what that would mean is that we have to do an EIR and analyze the impacts on this historic site if there's ever a development project. We've already done the EIR. We're already at the end of that process, and we have already done that kind of analysis that the public can input and continue to input on that. And so you can have all of this process and waste all of this time and the city's resources, the party's resources, to get to the same place that you're already at. It's outrageous that you don't come forward to the property owner and say, hey, how do we do this together and get this done, and instead force this through this elongated process. We would ask that you send this back to committee where there was a split vote.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sturtevant, last card.
Thank you. My name is Mark Sturtevant. I'm chairman of the board of Voice. We're a nonprofit organization representing some 5,000 members and supporters in Sunland, Tujunga, Shadow Hills, and the Crescenta Valley areas of Los Angeles. The Verdugo Hills Golf Course is the site that is being considered here. During World War II, it was the location of the Tuna Canyon Detention Station. And as Mr. Gaines said, there was an EIR drafted on this project back in 2009, and I just want to read you what it says. The events that took place on and around the project site are significant. While cultural fabric from the period of significance is gone, the landforms are remarkably intact and evoke strong memories and associations for those residents and former INS Tuna Canyon Detention Station detainees and their families. Because of the significance of the events associated with the property, the SWCA evaluator in 2005 recommends commemoration of this site through designation as a California Historical Landmark in the thematic landmark group Temporary Detention Camps for Japanese Americans. This is not intended to preserve the present resources at the Verdugo Hills Golf Course, but to commemorate associated events through interpretation of the site, to encourage sensitive development, and to accommodate visitors to the site through ease of parking, observation, and meditation. So there is no reason to object to this motion. This motion before you is nearly identical to what has already taken place on the state level. The motion is benign. It simply begins a process. It guarantees no outcome, and it should be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alarcon.
Council members, this is a simple motion requesting that the planning department, instructing the planning department to begin the process of determining whether or not this should be determined to be a cultural heritage site under the City of Los Angeles rules. My good friend, Mr. Gaines, he and I worked on creating the San Fernando Valley Leadership Program, and we did great work, but he's wrong on 3 counts. First of all, in terms of approaching the developer, I've been in office for 8 months as the council member for this area, and the developer has never approached me to tell me what he plans to do with the site. So I think it's disingenuous for them to say that I'm not going to them when they haven't come to me and told me what their plans are. Number two, they have not done an EIR. They are in draft. They are drafting an EIR. It has not been circulated. It is not ready for public review, and it's simply untrue that there is an EIR. And thirdly, the mitigations that he speaks of that are in this draft EIR are related to a state designation as a heritage site. The fact that there was an internment site in Los Angeles at all is a significant piece of history, of American history. If we want to turn a blind eye to the fact that we interned tens of thousands of Japanese Americans during World War II, this is your opportunity to do that. Turn a blind eye, vote with the developer, ignore our history. But the fact of the matter is, it's an important part of our history, and we should at least explore the feasibility of designating this site as a historical site. So with that, I ask you to vote on this matter. I have submitted an amending motion which clarifies that indeed this is not to designate a cultural site. It is merely to begin the process, to send it to the Planning Department to make an application to the Cultural Heritage Commission, and they will then make a report that will eventually come back to us and let us know how they feel about it. But right now, we're simply voting as to whether or not we believe it is significant in our history to investigate whether or not to determine this site as a cultural heritage site. I believe it is critical that we do so. I believe so in the sense of providing the truth to future generations for many years to come. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Rosendahl.
I'm sorry, I forgot to move 7A, which is the amended version.
Okay. Are you good?
Consider item 12.
Okay, no, we'll get there. Now is not the time to do that. Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to stand in strong support of Mr. Alarcon's motion. This piece of property is historically significant on many levels because of its role as a detention center during World War II, but long before as a Tongva encampment and in many other ways. This has been a piece of property that has been of central historical significance to the city of Los Angeles and all of California, really. And Mr. Alarcon's motion is simply starting the process for discussion, and it is important, very important, that we move forward on this motion today. The one question that I have, and Mr. Alarcon, I don't know if this is better directed to you or to staff, but when I had the privilege of representing this area, we began the process of seeking a Proposition O grant for preservation of the property, which you were in strong support of, and I appreciate your support at that time. I just want to make sure that there's nothing inconsistent in pursuing this designation that would in any way deter the Prop O committee from advancing that effort to preserve the property as a ecological resource as well.
I got you.
By the way.
To believe that to be the case, but it's my hope that it in fact enhances the opportunities.
And I think that would be the case. And judging from Mr. Sturdivant's being here and speaking in support, and as being one of the strongest, and many of the other community members who are here today being among the strongest supporters of that plan, the fact that they're here speaking in support today gives me all the more reason to stand in strong support. So, members, I'd ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Zine.
I'm not.
Mr. Zine. Oh, you're an accident?
It must have been. I didn't push it. I'm sorry.
Maybe I luck up. Mr. Labange, did you accidentally?
No, I didn't accidentally. I wanted to rise to support Mr. Alarcon, but also let you know that in 1976, one of the first things I did when I got here, I filled out the papers for 4 monuments: the Griffith Observatory, Fire Station 27 in Los Angeles, the Hyperion Bridge, and the site of Walt Disney's first studio, which is on Hyperion, which is a market. Okay, so the recognition, and I'm just saying this out loud for community and everybody, maybe the site and whatever planning process goes on in the future, the site recognition may be important, Mr. Alarcon, as you so well know. So this is a good process, but there are things in the city that are the site of our first cemetery, is Cathedral High School, and you know the name of their team? Mr. President, the Phantoms. The Phantoms. And if you ever go to Calvary Cemetery on the east side, it's New Calvary, because the old Calvary is now the Pasadena Freeway. So these sites do have a recognition, and a good lawyer could figure it around with community support.
Mr. Koretz.
Yeah, I just have a question for Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Gaines has stated that it would appear there's some possible duplication of process. So I wonder if you could speak to that, if they're already doing some of this, if there's a way that we can avoid having to duplicate part of the same process if some of the same things are being studied.
As far as I'm concerned, there's no duplication whatsoever. The duplication I believe he was referring to has to do with some consideration within the draft EIR of a state historical designation, which is totally separate from a city historical designation. And so we're on different, albeit perhaps somewhat parallel paths, but it's not duplication.
Thank you.
Okay, no more speakers on the queue. Let's vote, members. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes. Okay,
now I want to do one quick thing, and then I'm going to call on Mr. Zine and Mr. Englander. Mr. Rosendahl requested that we reconsider item 12. So let's vote on reconsideration on item 12. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, so Mr. Rosendahl will take this item up when we finish this. We'll get to it, Bill. Trust me. Okay, Mr. Zine, Mr. Englander, who goes first?
Well, we're doing this together, so, and Mr., come on over here, and Buscaino, we're doing this together as three members of the council who are also...
Why don't you guys go to the center?
Yeah. All right.
Let's go to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm joined by my... Yes, Mr. West?
As a little bit of housekeeping, I think you need to state what it is that you want to do, so then I could get a report back from the city attorney where it relates to the findings.
All right. Well, the city attorney is here to address this particular matter. This is the request of this council to approve a $100,000 reward for the identification apprehension of the individual who is alleged to have committed 3 murders, Christopher Dorner, former LAPD officer, Naval Reserve officer.
Okay, city attorney, can you speak to the findings?
Well, Mr. Zine was starting to articulate the findings.
So should we let him continue?
Yes,
Mr. Zine, you can...
Then I'll throw in the legal stuff afterwards.
Okay, you just jump in when you feel it's appropriate. Go right ahead, Mr. Zine.
So as we know, there's been 2 civilians, 1 police officer from Riverside, who have been killed by Christopher Dorner, allegedly killed by Christopher Dorner, and there's arrest warrants, etc. One of the individuals who was shot by Christopher Dorner is a Los Angeles police officer who was on a mission for protection of individuals. That's why the Los Angeles City Council would have jurisdiction, since the 3 murders occurred outside the city of Los Angeles. So what we're asking for is the council to approve, which we can approve in certain situations, rewards up to $100,000. In this particular case, we would ask the council to approve that reward of $100,000, in addition to what's already been posted by the mayor of $1 million, and it's also understood that the County Board of Supervisors of Los Angeles and Riverside will also be posting rewards of $100,000. So the issue is the justification. A Los Angeles police officer was shot thank God, not killed. But the fact is there's an individual who was a Los Angeles police officer who is avoiding capture, Christopher Jordan Donner, and we would ask that we would be able to bring this forward to have this council approved for the protection of our citizens as well as our police officers.
Mr. City Attorney.
And just to tie it together, since the posting of today's agenda, the LAPD has requested that this reward be offered, and immediate action is required in order to apprehend a suspect for the safety of the community. Council must first make findings as articulated pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Okay, do we vote on the findings?
Yes.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, I defer back to you, Mr. Zine.
Thank you. So today we are seeking this $100,000 in addition to what's already been posted, has been stated, for the identification apprehension of former police officer Christopher Donner. He is believed to be responsible for the murder of 2 individuals, innocent civilians, in addition to a police officer in Riverside. What we are hopeful is that additional leads will turn into the law enforcement agencies in this region. They have received over 1,000 tips, information. They're following up on those. And this attack, which has caused great concern for members of law enforcement, in addition to the 50 folks who are under constant security by Los Angeles Police Department, is pressing the department in delivering all it needs to deliver in public safety service. So hopefully this will bring about additional leads. Those additional leads will hopefully result in the apprehension of Christopher Donner and bring this case to a resolution. In my history of Los Angeles and my colleagues who both served in law enforcement, we've never seen a situation resort to this, and it's imperative that this individual be brought into custody as quickly as possible for all involved. Los Angeles police officers, civilians are also, obviously, 2 of them have already been killed as a result of this particular situation. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Councilmember Mitch Englander, also a member of the Los Angeles Police Department Reserve.
Thank you, and I urge your aye vote on this as well. We've seen that since the $1 million reward was offered by the mayor and went out and collected a lot of private donations as well to do so, that the tips have been coming in steadily, and every one of those tips are being followed up on by the detectives, by the investigators, by law enforcement, and the entire region. This has been a unified dragnet in the region. There's been a lot of resources expended on this, but we will not stop. As has been stated, it's not a matter of if he is found, it's when he is found and apprehended in some manner. But this reward motion will add to that and hopefully get members of the public to call forward, to step forward. We are certain that there are individuals out there in the community that either know the whereabouts or have information or additional background information that they can share with law enforcement, and we urge you to make the phone call and share that information so nobody else gets hurt. Thank you, Mr. Zine. Thank you.
And you know, Mr. Zine, I want to reiterate that to the public, if you have any knowledge, make sure you call this person you want to stay away from. He is armed and dangerous. Don't be a cowboy. Call and give the information that you have. Mr. Zine.
Just in conclusion, Mr. President, we have 2 civilians, one a daughter of a retired captain of Los Angeles Police Department who was murdered along with her fiance. Then we had a uniformed officer stopped at a traffic light doing nothing except waiting for the light to turn green, who was shot and killed, left a wife and 2 children. His partner was also injured. We also had a Los Angeles police officer who was shot and a graze wound to him. So whether you're a civilian or a member of law enforcement, everyone is in jeopardy until this individual is taken into custody. So the public is in jeopardy, police officers are in jeopardy. We need to apprehend, we need those leads. The detectives will follow up. They're working tirelessly to bring this to an end, and hopefully that end will result in the capture, and the criminal justice system will deal with it after that. But we urge the public to continue bringing those tips in. We are all members of the Los Angeles Police Department Reserve Corps, and it's imperative that we protect our citizens as well as our police officers and their families. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President.
it's very clear that what our chief is doing is the right strategy. To open it up, to take a deep breath, to up the reward so that we can protect ourselves and everybody involved in this issue. It's a brilliant move on his part, and I support the police and obviously my colleagues for standing there and presenting it to us. A yes vote.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Okay, members, there are no more speakers in the queue. There are no cards. Let us prepare to vote on this. Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll? Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay. A request has been made to continue item 3 for 1 week to February 19th. So, are you okay with that, Mr. Parks? All right.
When they come back, that they give us some idea about the source, but also address the liability issue that was mentioned in the committee report.
Okay. All right. So without objection, that will be continued to February 19th. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 27, call special for cards.
John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org. Oh, they tell me, Mr. Walsh, you're out of time, but we'll call you again for general public comment. Dollhouse Dude, out of time. Armanik Noorajanian is back. I don't believe you're out of time, Armanik, so please come forward on item 27. Welcome back, and I hope you're well.
Thank you. Good morning, respectable City Council members. Good morning, fellow Angelinos. Actually, I do support item 12 and the motion of Council members Wesson and Labonge relative to order designation in order to adopt a constitutional amendment regarding limits on political campaign spending and rights of cooperation. I believe that corporations should not donate money to candidates, and actually we should fight political corruption. And City Council members should adopt a resolution in order to eliminate political corruption and stop donation of those corporations, because those corporations cannot buy candidates. And we should eliminate corruption in city politics. In the second, I actually supported a resolution in order to regulate medical marijuana and limit the number of businesses to 135, and also limit number of patients those medical marijuana dispensaries might have, because that will actually will keep those consumers of so-called medical marijuana dispensaries safe, and will actually keep them from being robbed by those medical marijuana dispensaries when they cross the line and start making profit, which is illegal. And we should also more closely monitor all those so-called medical marijuana dispensaries to keep them from doing any profit on that, and keep them from selling narcotics, which is actually strictly prohibited by state law. Well, actually, and we should also increase taxes on those medical marijuana dispensaries about 50% in order to replenish city coffers.
Okay, Armanek, did you get contact lenses or something? You usually wear glasses.
Yeah, I started wearing contact lenses because I actually I feel better with contact lenses.
I just like you like that. Okay, so that's it. Ms. Perry.
Mr. President, I just wanted to know on 27 if we can break this into at least 2 parts and possibly 4.
Okay, well, how would you like that?
I'd like to break one apart from the marijuana measures at the very minimum.
Well, just tell me what you'd like to do. I'll try to accommodate.
I'd like to vote separate on the first measure on Proposition C, separate and apart from the marijuana proposals.
Why don't we just
vote on, there are 4 of them, Madam Clerk. Can we just take 4 separate?
Do I need to make a motion? I think I need to make a motion to separate them.
Yeah, please, go right ahead.
So I'm making a motion to separate the Proposition C item, which is the first measure, from the 3 marijuana measures, so that we could vote on them separately.
And I second that motion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's, Madam Clerk, so what are we voting on now?
Ms. Perry's motion to separate.
Okay, so let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, now we're voting on what?
On the first measure, Proposition C.
All right, on that item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 3 noes.
All righty, the next. Wait, I didn't hear Ms. Perry, and then I'll get to you, Mr. Rosendahl.
I wanted to vote yes on the separation. I'm sorry. Press the wrong button. It won't change the outcome.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Okay, so
I wanted to vote yes on that was C? Yeah. Okay, I wanted to vote yes on C. Yes.
Mr. Rosendahl.
I'm confused as to what we're voting on right now.
Okay, let's, Madam Clerk, help bring some clarification. I think, Bill, what we've done, we've split this up into separate votes. I'm assuming there's one that Ms. Perry doesn't want to vote for. So what did we just vote on for clarification?
For clarification, Council just voted on the first measure, Proposition C only, which is the resolution to support constitutional amendment regarding limits on political campaign spending and rights of corporations.
Just for clarification, all this action today in Council is designating letters to these items. That's all it is.
So, Mr. Rosendahl, did you want to change? Because I have you down as a no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still no. We're happy with what we're voting on.
Okay.
But what the city attorney just said is that this will prepare. What did you just say?
It's just designating letters so that they could be placed on the ballot in a certain order.
So we can say yes to that. That's just a technical issue. Okay, fine.
Yeah, because that's all. You know, these are measures just similar to the Prop A, so you have to designate a letter behind it. So
for clarification, I want to make sure that I'm recorded as a yes on this item.
Okay, and Mr. Rosendahl would like to be a yes as well. Does not change the outcome. Okay, now, Madam Clerk, what is the next item we're voting on?
Next item Council is voting on are the next 3 measures. The second, third, and fourth measure, Proposition D, Initiative Ordinance E, and Initiative Ordinance F.
Okay, on those items, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 2 noes.
Okay, so can we take up item, I guess it's item 16 now?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Mr. Reyes, it's my understanding that you had some concerns that were answered on item, was it item 9?
Yes, and they were addressed, so we can vote on that.
Okay, so now, Madam Clerk, let's have item 9 before us. Let us open the roll.
This is reconsideration, Mr. President.
Okay, so first we vote for reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Now we'll vote on the actual item, item 9. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Now let's move to item 16. We'll be on item 16, Sean Murphy. Okay, Mr. Murphy passes.
Mr. President, for item 16, the city has completed its bond sale of a competitive basis with 13 bidders and awarded the Solid Waste Resources Revenue Bond Series 2013A to the winning bidder, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, at a true interest cost of 2.098%. Also, the city completed its bond sale on a competitive basis with 13 bidders and awarded the Solid Waste Resources Refunding Revenue Bond Series 2013B to the winning bidder, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, at a true interest cost of 1.25%.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move approval of the award.
Okay, no more speakers on the queue. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, that brings us to item 12. Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Koretz, is there a piece?
No. Short answer is no, but there will be peace, Mr. President. And I just want to thank you for your leadership and how we move around here. And I want to thank Mr. Koretz because, like me, we work from the heart, and our hearts are in the right place. But I wanted to reconsider this, folks, because I don't want to wait a minute to keep the bike paths and the pedestrian paths safe and clean. I'd like the Department of Transportation to come up and explain this. I want no continuation, and I want you to explain the issues to everybody here in the room. Come on up to the table. Don't be shy. Let's go. The bottom line with this item is that we have miles of bike paths that need to be maintained free and clear of debris. Right now, it's either not getting done or being done very infrequently. Tell me, is that true? Introduce yourself.
Good morning. I'm Paul Mishkin with the Department of Transportation Bike Race Office. Yes, some of the bike paths are being maintained by the contractor, Orange Line Bike Path and Chandler Boulevard Bike Path. 6 other bike paths are being maintained by Recreation and Park Department on a regular basis.
Okay, we owe it to the pedestrians and cyclists who use these paths to keep them properly maintained.
That's correct, yes.
If we delay a month, they won't be for that month.
That's correct.
Look, this Shelter Clean contract dramatically expands the number of bike paths and the frequency of cleaning. What's also true about this contract is that if Rec and Park decides they want to take on the job of cleaning our bike paths, meaning they have the personnel, you can do so with no monetary loss to the city.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. All right. So tell me, what is this Shelter Clean contract?
The Shelter Clean contract is a 5-year contract that started in October 1st, 2009, and will expire September 30th, 2014. Shelter Clean contract is for around $1 million of fixed costs that includes twice sweeping up the bike path, Orange Line and Chandler Boulevard bike path, routine maintenance, routine landscape maintenance, irrigation maintenance, tree trimming, graffiti removal. And if we add the new projects, the new set of bike paths to these existing facilities, it will raise the fixed cost of the contract by another $1 million for the remaining 18 months of the contract.
Okay, so by continuing it this month, we get everything done that we need done. But does this allow the unions to come back in with workers later at a different point? Or where are the discussions with the unions on this issue at this point?
When we awarded the contract at the beginning to Shelter Clean, we went through the process and we did negotiate with the union, and we went through the 1022 process, the CAO. So the process was done. At this point, no, we have not done any union approach.
Exactly, Mr. Fayele, GOT. Councilman, we'll be more than happy to work with Recreation Parks, and they're willing to work with us to get the job done for all of us, for the city. So if we decide that they are able to take care of the tree trimming, the landscape maintenance, and the cleaning, we'll be more than happy to work with them and get the job done together.
Okay, so have you set up any discussions, any potential meetings?
We're going to do that right now.
If I might comment.
Please, sir. Your name for the record.
Regina Adams, Executive Officer for Recreation and Parks. Believe me, I was going to get that in there. I'm trained to do that. One of the things, okay, this is where we are. Currently in Recreation and Parks, and for many years, we have been maintaining about 6 or 7 of these DOT bike paths, and the Department of Transportation has reimbursed us each year for those services. We have full and part-time staff who do this. They work this into our route system when they're also going along maintaining our parks. And we do light landscape services. One of the things that is a misnomer that people think for the Department of Recreation and Parks is that when we do work for other entities that are non-Recreation and Parks owned, we do not do everything that you might think. For example, one of the things that we do not do regularly, because we're not even able to do it for ourselves, we do not do the tree trimming and so forth. That is one of the things that this contractor does for the Department of Transportation. In this report that's before you, they would like to add about 3 new bike paths, which Recreation Park currently has nothing to do with. And they also, the contractor does the additional services for them, such as landscape restoration and so forth, which we do not do. So we are prepared either way. If they want to take all of these paths away from us and they want to then have the contractor do all of these services at all of their bike paths with all the services that they want, we are fine with that. We will take the employees that we currently have been applied to provide these services, and we will use them elsewhere within our department. We had no intention of having our employees affected in any way. If the city would like for us to be able to continue to do those services, we're willing to look at that as well. However, as I mentioned before this body last week, the matter is more than just funding. We need to be able to hire additional people to be able to do this work. As far as for these new bike paths, we have not had the opportunity to even check them out. We don't know what is required, the type of work that's required, or the resources that we would need to do that. However, we can go back and look at that, and we can work with DOT to see if we can come to some agreement, whether it's for these additional sites, the one that we currently maintain, and continue to do that, however you would like for us to proceed.
Okay, my dream would be this, and I want you to...
Please take your time. Please take your time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Annette. I got 20 seconds, 19 seconds. Okay, the question is this. I want to move forward with this now so we don't have to worry about our bike paths and pedestrian walkways. But I want you to report back to my committee, the Transportation Committee, in a month and tell us of the discussions with the union people of what we're going to do next. I want the union involved, but I want it in a conversation first, transparent conversation in Transportation Committee, and then we'll go forward whatever direction makes the most sense as a committee and then as a council. But I don't want to slow anything down right now. So, colleagues, if this makes sense to you, we're basically saying is to move forward with this item so we can continue to keep the bike paths and the pedestrian ways serviced, and then we will bring them before committee, Mr. Koretz, to discuss where we go with this in the future. So I ask for an aye vote on this. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Our next speaker on the queue is Councilor Krikorian,
If I might add a
followed by Councilor Labange.
If I might add a comment. I just want to make sure everyone understands, if you move forward with this item today, then Recreation and Parks will no longer be maintaining any of these sites.
Motion, what does the motion say?
The report before you is for all of the bike paths to be maintained by the contractor.
That's right.
Okay, so, but you're saying you wanted us to have discussions with the union, so...
For the future, not now. Now I want to keep things going the way we are. But I'd like to have a discussion in committee of where we take the union's issues and involvement in this project going forward. Not at this moment. I don't want to stop any bikeway, any pathway, any ability to use it. And then take a deep breath and report to committee on options going forward that gentleman had talked about. Explain that again.
Well, basically what I was saying is that maybe we can work it out so that we can work on the projects together right now, and then if we find that we need to contract it out in the future, then let's do it at that time.
Okay, Councilor Labange.
Members, it's about partnerships, and we have partnerships with contractors who do work. Members, it's about the inability for us to keep our overused parks clean and the stress that's been on the Department of Recreation and Parks in order to do not just their own parks, but much of the other city work. This is a partnership bill that has been created to the Department of Transportation. As an infrequent but frequent rider of the Los Angeles River Bikeway, it needs someone to maintain it. But Rec and Parks is trying to keep every park maintained, trying to do their core function. This is a way that we can get it done so there's safety involved and needed, which is so important. I appreciate all the work of city employees, but we have to have partnership. Today, Regina, I was coming up Hoover Street, Mr. Reyes, and I was going by Lafayette Park, and the Rec and Parks guy was working real hard. but the storm drain was full of everything, and he didn't even touch it because he's so concentrated on the busy park, and there was a full soccer game going on. You'd be proud of that, Ed. There's so much work that rec and parks need to do. This is not their core work. They stepped up years ago. Now we have a partnership that's going to be overseen by the expanding bike network that DOT is committed to. So it's a win-win, but it's a partnership bill. And I would just ask, instead of asking Rec and Parks to come back, I would just alter that to say, ask the CAO to report in the future on all these opportunities. Because we have choices we got to make. And this is a choice to have a partnership. I would rather keep rec centers open with city-trained workers in rec centers than going out to contract or saving this job for the bikeway along the river at this job. Particularly, partnership is the key.
Thank you, Councilor Labange. Our next speaker, Councilman Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think Mr. Rosendahl and I are trying to achieve the same thing. I think it's a mistake, though, to go down one path, if you'll pardon the pun, and then come right back and look at switching back to where we were. I would suggest that I'm going to make a substitute motion that we create a working group today, have them meet today, and come back in 2 weeks with an analysis of whether we're able to do this in-house for the same amount of funding that we're talking about giving to an outside contractor. And in the meantime, that we direct Rec and Parks to do a couple emergency cleanings during that period so that the bike paths are not impassable. I know that right now Rec and Parks is not able to do this on an ongoing basis, but I believe your department could for 1 or 2 times while we work this out, and bring it back in 2 weeks and resolve it one way or the other.
Is there a second to the motion?
Is there a second? Don't see a second. Okay, Councilman Rosendahl.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I appreciate Mr. Koretz. I look forward to your vote on this, colleagues. And as you heard us say, especially what Mr. Labange said about bringing the various groups together to develop a win-win. So I ask us to move forward with this motion.
Okay, Councilor Labange.
Go drive by our libraries. Rec and Parks has been tasked with taking care of libraries. They can't get to everything. Rec and Parks has been put so much on their back. It's partnerships, and there's a way to win for everybody. But let's do this partnership here and look at other things. And I ask the CAO's office, if they're listening, and the CLA to give us some guidance on this in the future. But right now, DOT has been the right choice. Rec and Parks was always there. We put too much on their back. Let's move forward with this partnership.
Okay, seeing no one else on the queue, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Okay, let's open the roll. Are we ready? Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes, 1 no.
Okay.
On 29, too.
What's 29?
Okay, forthwith on that item, at Mr. Rosendahl's request.
Very much on that. Very much. And 29 forthwith as well, by the way.
29 forthwith as well. Okay, Mr. City Attorney, we have a special presented by Mr. Reyes.
Colleagues, what's before you in the special is an item that I just became aware of this morning. This is for the findings, and it's the reason why we need to address it now. Secondly, there's an immediate need to act because tomorrow will be the last day to assert jurisdiction. So pursuant to Government Code 54954.2, this Rule 23, I'm asking you that we act on this today. That's the findings.
Okay, so we vote to approve the findings. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, now Mr. Reyes will vote on the item. Let's open the roll, close Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
Sorry, 13 ayes.
Okay, is there any more? What's next for us, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, just for clarification, for the Special 2 motion, that matter is referred to the Planning, Land Use, and Management Committee.
Okay. What's before us now?
General public comment.
Mr. Murphy, followed by Mr. John Walsh, HollywoodHighland.org, Daniel Jones.
Good morning, Mr. President. We only have 5 weeks before the election. Vote for the people of your choice for the election. I'm supporting Wendy Crew for mayor. I gave a small contribution. People don't like it. I'm sorry to tell you that. I'm sorry to say that to you. That's who I'm voting for. She's qualified for the job. Also, there's three ladies running for city council. Please vote for them. Also, keep our parks and libraries open and vote for the Measure A. Vote yes for Measure A. It'll create jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Mr. John Walsh, followed by Daniel Jones, followed by Juan the One.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Go to Front Page Online. Every day, the Dorner manhunt extends. The LAPD look more and more like Keystone Cops. Dorner is your Frankenstein monster, created by the LAPD and Mayor Villaraigosa. And now you're telling us to vote for Prop A because it will give us hundreds of more police. We don't need more police, and I speak particularly to the African American community and the Hispanic community that bear the brunt of this racism. I speak to them, vote no on Prop A for cops. Now here, this $1 million, $2 million reward. Now here's what the LA Times says. Dorner calls up one of his friends when he decides that he wants to surrender. His friend calls the LAPD and gets the reward of $1 to $2 million for turning in Dorner. That's what you've created, a Frankenstein monster, the Keystone Cops. And 2 women who worked for the LA Times, delivering papers in Torrance, shot down, killed in a fusillade of bullets. And no one gives a damn, least of all the Hispanic politicians. They were, in fact, killed and cut down and almost murdered. Their blood is on the streets of Torrance. The cops didn't do their job, and they will sue, and the LAPD and the taxpayers will end up spending millions and millions of dollars to settle the lawsuits of the 2 women that the LAPD shot down.
Okay, before we go to Mr. Jones, Mr. Alacon.
Mr. President, I think it's important for us to let the public know that the victims of that shooting that Mr. Walsh was speaking to are not dead, were not killed, and all of us feel very badly about that shooting, but I think it's wrong for him to say they were killed.
Okay, Mr. Daniel Jones, followed by Juan the One, followed by Armanik Noorjanian. Come on, Armanik, get in line. Yes, Mr. Jones.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to give my condolences to the officer that was killed and the people that are hurt. This is truly a tragedy. If anybody wants to see Lucy, go down I-5 to Santa Ana, get up at Main Street, turn right, go down about a mile. I've been to Bowers Museum. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. Chief Beck is not going to review anything. A private, independent prosecutor is going to review that man's manifesto. He's already defaming that officer's death by trying to gloss it all over. That's not going to happen. City Attorney, this is for you. I know how to challenge a judge's behavior in court. All rise. Objection. And the judge, one question he can't read, or she can't read. The one they can't read is, what have I done to support the Constitution? All I have to do is walk in, the first one's free. All rise on time. And the bailiff, for free, a bill of complaint. and have the judge read that complaint in court, and he can't hear it, and he can't defend their constitutional liability. Mr. Garcetti's a sheep in wolf's clothing. The sheep, he's a civic administrator. The wolf clothing has a military commission in his back pocket. He's not going to be the mayor. He has to make up his mind. Conflict of interest. You want to make a member to the detention centers? What about the 200,000 people in detention centers right now for immigration issues? You're all making money off the Department of Homeland Security, privatized prisons, detention centers. Let's go ahead and look at those stock portfolios. I'm telling the people of Los Angeles there is no such thing as a blind trust. $32 million. You don't give $32 million to an idea. An idea produces $32 million. City Hall doesn't create nonprofits.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Juan, Armenic, Norajanian, Yvonne Michelle Autry.
That guy is too violent and aggressive, and he keeps speaking to the microphone. Anyway, he was hassling me just because I was called behind him and say, "Why are you standing behind me? What do you want me to do, you idiot? You want me to stand beside you? What do you want me to do? Stupid." Anyway, I have my card. I want to distribute it amongst all you people.
Sergeant,
and teach you how to do business.
Get his card.
I'm running for City Council, Venice Beach, District 11. I have a very good chance of winning, but I don't even care, because even if I win, you're going to hide my ballots. You know how to do that. So it's just another, what do you call it, publicity ploy. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this guy that's killing people right and left. Well, sounds like Bin Laden. You offered millions of dollars reward, and he wasn't captured for 10 years. And his own family finally turned him in. So what are you doing? We need to be offering rewards for people that go around taking people's homes, which are more valuable to any human being than any reward you can offer for a monster you created. Do you remember Rambo, the movie? I don't know if that was real or not, but when you create a monster and you keep poking at the monster by taking his house, by taking all the things he owns, he's going to snap. And you trained him to kill, so now you're afraid of him. You know, excuse me, quit taking people's homes away from people and driving them berserk. That is exactly what you're doing. You are the criminals. You need to change the way we do business.
Thank you. Armenic, Norajanian, Yvonne Michelle Autry, followed by Bobby Cooper. Yes, sir.
Good morning, City Council members. Good morning, dear fellow Angelinos. Actually, my name is Armenic Norajanian. I'm a liberal Democrat and human rights advocate. As a progressive, I promised to run for the seat of Los Angeles City Council in a year. And I stand for racial integration, social justice, and amnesty for non-criminal illegal aliens. I believe that the City Council members should adopt a resolution in order to raise sales tax to at least 10 cents. Because half a cent raise in sales tax is not enough to provide revenue, sustainable revenue for the city of Los Angeles, because they're actually too small, too infinitesimally small sum of money. And also, I asked city council members to reopen a regular Section 8 rental assistance in order to enable thousands of working class Angelinos and poor Angelinos, to have access to affordable housing once again. And I believe that cutting taxes to businesses is bad politics, is a reactionary politics, would actually deprive the city of its revenue, of its proper revenue. And well, actually, and I also believe that adopting resolutions to cut down workforce, city workforce, is a reactionary politic, and I ask city council members to actually to hire more city workers, and I also endorse progressive candidates.
Thank you, Mr. Noorjanian. Yvonne Michelle Autry, followed by Bobby Cooper.
Yes, that's Yvonne, not Yvonne. Y-V-O-N-N-E is pronounced Yvonne.
Okay, I apologize.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wesson, for that correction. What I'd like to say relative to this Navy SEAL, quite obviously he was driven to do this. He tried to serve his country honorably with dignity and self-respect as a Navy SEAL and a police officer. What I think you need to do is investigate police cover-ups, police corruption, use of excessive force, illegal profiling with the history of Rodney King, Devin Jackson, stomping a black woman in the groin to death, Dale Garrett, Taisha Miller, Margaret Mitchell, Oscar Grant, and the list goes on and on and on. Why aren't you investigating the police instead of incriminating someone who, under the pressure of having justice denied? I mean, what is this? You people are going back to a white supremacist police state? I mean, what is it? It's ridiculous. And people like me, law-abiding citizens who speak out are incriminated. You know, and I wanted to also comment relative to the monies of Homeland Security. Do not use this money to further incriminate people like myself, demonizing people like myself, people that you cannot control, and invading our privacy, invading our homes, you know, menacing and preventing us from getting our mail. We are incriminated simply because we speak up and expose the corruption that you seek to cover up. I'd also like to speak on the monies that are used for Homeland Security. Many people are being tortured. They're being used in covert civilian experiments. Again, mind control, mass manipulation, and population control. Do not use this money to further experiment on people that still speak and think for themselves. We have a right in America to freedom of thought and speech. Homeland Security incriminates people that continue to think outside of this unreality. You have no right to incriminate us. We still have a right to publish and organize.
Thank you. Bobby Cooper.
Yes, I agree with that lady 100%. Homeland Security took me off of $70 on the credit card when I was reporting my business being robbed of its machines. Okay, first of all, the DA lost his class action suit involving slanderous allegations against me and my company against bad checks. He's in non-compliance with the court. The president threatened my life when I went to his office, told me that if I don't get out of here, something would happen to me. What kind of stuff is that? You know, Sok Yong is one of the culprits in this takeover of my business. I'm trying to figure out, is she husband to City Attorney Wong? I don't know. I'd like to know. Dirty tricks. $100 was taken from me out of the ATM machines yesterday. Gave me back. I had $227 when I put my card in. Drew $20. I had $91 coming back. This is your telecommunication fraudulent. This is Jesse Costello, AT&T, and I've told you time and time again that it's Tom Mullocks out of Riverside, California, giving people free Times Warner cable to victimize me. LAPD hate crimes against me, allow stalking of the people that I reported for their identity theft. What's wrong with this? I'm offering, like I said before, when I was down here before, $50,000 to anybody that solicited me for mayor or any other campaign contribution that I might provide for them. Yeah. Stop the account fraud against me. Please. Bank of America Latinos are robbing me to death, and your police officers officers know it. 8 of them showed up when I went to go and check on my bank account. They won't give me my bank statements, and I can't deal with the IRS.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Okay, that concludes general public comment. Madam Clerk, what's before this body now?
Council has motions for posted and referral.
Okay, they are considered posted and referred.
Clear.
Announcements? Okay, would everybody in the council chamber please rise? Mr. Noorajanian, everyone in the council chambers, please rise for adjourning motions. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And colleagues, it is with great sadness that I report that John Otto Williamson of Venice passed away last Thursday, February 7th. Otto passed on after suffering a heart attack while he was at home. He was only 68. Otto owned and operated an auto repair shop that specialized in luxury automobiles on Hampton Drive, just a few blocks from the beach. He was a master mechanic and successful race car driver. Otto had a passion for cars and was well known for his expertise in all things Porsche related. Otto's pride and joy was his Porsche 914-6, nicknamed Rudy, in which he set numerous class records, beat most high-dollar Porsches that were run against him, and was a constant research and development tool for Otto and his shop. Williamson's raced numerous vehicles and beat well-known drivers such as Mario Andretti. Otto is also well-known and respected as a Porsche Club instructor, introducing many hobbyists and racers to the limits of their vehicles while passing along a lifeline of experience and success and skills to those who were willing to listen. While Otto charged top dollar for his work on cars, he also helped those without much money by offering free advice and free labor to help fix their vehicles. He was a traditional man of honor, using his handshake to seal all deals. Wouldn't that be nice if we could do that today? Otto was an endearing, gruffy guy, but compassionate man who worked and lived doing what he loved. A memorial service and race is being planned and will be held at Willow Springs Racetrack in Rosemont, California. May he rest in peace.
Adjourning, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of Dr. Richard H. Mabee. He was 82 of Claremont. He died on Saturday, January 26th of this year. Following more than a decade-long battle with cancer, Dr. Mabee was born on December 21st, 1930 in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. It was at Marquette University where he met his beloved wife, Kathleen. They were paired in biology lab by alphabet, her maiden name being McGowan. With his degree in medicine, hers in botany, and a powerful faith in God, they married. Dr. Mabee enlisted in the U.S. Navy, was stationed with his wife in Sasebo, Japan, and promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Upon returning to the U.S., they moved to California in 1958, settling in Claremont. In 1961, Dr. Mabee joined the pediatric practice of Dr. John Wilcox and worked with the finest pediatricians in the region. Dr. Mabee was a devout Catholic of Our Lady of Assumption Catholic Church. Together with Kathleen and parishioners, he continued to serve by providing free pediatric care to immigrant families in the Pico Union neighborhood of Los Angeles. But she was recognized by President Clinton. Dr. Mabee received communion and the Pro Ecclesia et Pontifice Medal from Pope John Paul II during the papal visit to LA in 1987. He retired after 40 years of service to the children of LA County. Dr. Mabee was recognized for his profession, service, and faith. Most especially, he is recognized as a man rich in love as a father, a husband, and a friend. Dr. Mabee is survived by his loving wife of 60 years, Kathleen Marie Mabee, their children and their spouses, Thomas and Rhonda Heth, Laura, Keith Suchner, Ken and Patty, Anne and Frank DeRuiter, Mary and Bill Platt, Peter and Gwen, William and Denise Mendoza, and Michael and Nora. He has 16 grandchildren: Margaret, Claire, Joseph, Jason, Melissa, Lauren, Julia, Thomas Jr., Michael, Kathleen, Grace, Emily, John, Roy, Sarah, and Danielle, and 2 great-grandchildren, Olivia and Thomas. He was preceded in passing by his beloved daughter, Jane, and son, James Andrew. Dr. Mabey's son, Bill Mabey, has also been a person who's been very involved in Los Angeles politics. He's currently the chief of staff with our former council president, Senator Padilla, and I've had the pleasure of knowing him for many years. We traveled to Salvador together, and he's fluent Spanish. He's very familiar with the needs of those that are sometimes considered the have-nots. And I believe his strength comes from the beauty of his father in serving our communities. I'd like to adjourn in his memory.
Okay, other adjourning motions? Mr. Parks?
Thank you. I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Dr. Henry Benjamin Palmer, who was born in January 1932 in Freetown, West Africa. He passed away on February 4th, 2013. He was the third of 3 boys and 2 girls, and spent most of his early childhood with his grandmother in Freetown. Eventually, he joined his parents in Lagos, Nigeria, where his father was a provincial administrator for Nigeria. He displayed his academic excellence early by graduating from high school with honors. He's also an avid reader. In fact, found a scholarship for a United States college in a magazine. He was encouraged to apply and was accepted at Fessenden Academy in Florida in its last years of existence. It was with the help of his mentor, Dr. John Buggs, that he transferred to Dillard University in New Orleans with a 4-year scholarship in science and pre-med. He graduated from Dillard with a Bachelor's of Science in Physics and Mathematics. Furthermore, he enrolled in UCLA and earned a Master's of Science in Mathematics education. He married in 1957, and following his marriage, he moved back to New Orleans, where he returned to Dillard, his alma mater, as a professor of mathematics. After 2 years, he returned back to LA and was employed as a math teacher for the LA Unified School District, while acting as a coordinator for their Apex Mathematics Lab. He pioneered the computer programs for both Dorsey and Fairfax High School. While educating young minds, Henry also attended USC and earned a second master's degree in mathematics and statistics. Additionally, he earned his doctoral degree at USC, becoming the youngest recipient of a PhD in math education. As a recipient of numerous prestigious awards, he was a National Science Fellow at Stanford University in 1964. Henry is survived by his wife, Celestine, his 2 children, Iris and Ingrid Palmer, and 2 grandchildren, and a host of family and friends. His viewing will be held today, February 12th, between 6 and 7:30 p.m. at Simpson's Mortuary at 3443 West Manchester in Inglewood. And his services will be held Wednesday, February 13th, 11 a.m. at Crenshaw United Methodist Church, located at 3740 Don Felipe.
Thank you. Mr. Zine.
Hey, colleagues, the Riverside police officer who was killed, Riverside officer gunned down last week while on patrol, Michael Crane, decorated Marine veteran who leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. Good person that made a great cop, said his partner. Funeral is set for tomorrow, Wednesday, February 13th, 10:30 a.m. at the Grove Community Church in Riverside. 34-year-old husband and father who loved his family life, spent time with his wife, Regina, coaching his 10-year-old son and watching his 4-year-old daughter. He was a family man. May he rest in peace. Police officer from Riverside, Michael Crane.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. On the other side, there are no more adjourning motions. Then Mr. Labange.
Teresa Tracy was a great member of the city family. She was a superintendent, too, for the Bureau of Street Service, had over 33 years of service. She recently passed. I didn't want to let the day pass. She passed on the 15th of January. That we all adjourn in memory of Teresa Tracy, a great city employee.
Okay, Mr. Labange. Members, we are now adjourned.